I understand the thought process behind a Waverly nib, but I still can't quite figure it out. When or why would you suggest using a Waverly nib? So Waverly nib, as far as I know, it's not a vastly popular nib. The only pen that I can think that has it available on it new is the Pilot Custom 912, which I have right here. And I have the Waverly nib, and I even inked it up for you so I can show you what's going on. So the Waverly nib, if I can zoom in and show you what it all is all about, the Pilot Custom 912, you know, it's got a lot of different nib sizes. This is kind of the pen format that Pilot is using in the US to bring in some unique nibs. You know, in Japan they have unique nibs that they put on a lot of different pens to bring all of those kind of odd nibs that are not that popular in the US on all the different pens would be, you know, that's just something that Pilot USA doesn't really want to take the gamble on. So they standardize on the Custom 912 as the pen that has the weird nibs, right? And the Waverly is one of those weird nibs. Those are my words, not theirs. So if I zoom in and show you, basically, you'll probably, those of you that deal with fountain pens a lot, you'll probably be able to tell in a second what's different about this nib. But take a look at it. It looks like it's bent, like it looks like it's broken, right? So the tip of the nib actually bends up like that, as if it was bent. Now, if you look at a picture like this on a, you know, Instagram picture or something like that, if somebody that did this with their Flex pen, you would be like, oh my gosh, this pen is not going to write. But it actually writes really smoothly and really nice. I'm trying to get you a good angle so you can see. It keeps wanting to focus on my stubble. So anyway, that nib kind of bends up like that. And functionally, it's not drastic what it does. I'll show you the writing that I have here with the Waverly nib. It kind of writes like a fine nib, you know, kind of between a fine and a medium. It's only one nib size per se, but I find it to write, you know, pretty all around. You know, it's not like super fine, but it kind of can go between fine and medium. And the real thing about it is, if you're holding the pen, and I'm showing you my writing surface here, if you're holding the pen at a very steep angle, the bend of that nib allows it to not be pointing directly down into the page. In order to do that, you would have to have it like overbent like this, and that's just crazy. So if you had it straight up and down, or maybe just a little bit like that, the nib is going to be bent a little bit more, as if you had the pen more at a 45-degree angle, because that nib kind of flares out like that. So it actually writes remarkably smooth, even at a perfectly upright angle. So that's one benefit, and especially in Japan, you know, a lot of the nibs, they write more upright like that. If you hold the pen at a lower angle, it actually is going to write as if you were kind of, you know, painting with the pen, which normally if you tried to do that, your feed is going to hit the page and it's not going to work very well. But it's going to write a lot wetter and it's going to write broader. So that is reflected here in the writing I did. Same exact pen, so I wrote with it upright, and it's definitely a finer line and not as heavy ink. And I did a lower angle, which looks a lot broader, a lot wetter for sure, so it makes the ink look a little darker, a little more shading. So that's the difference that you can see here. I use Diamine Marine because it's, you know, a nice shading ink that shows that variation a little bit. But, you know, it's not incredible, you know, it's definitely not as much like, you're not going to be flexing it, you know, or anything like that. You're not going to be changing that variation of size. It's not like a flex pen or a stub or anything like that, where you're going to be getting a lot of variation within the same word, unless you are literally changing your pen angle like this. It's more just, you know, if you want to, you have a little bit kind of more of a medium or a broader nib in your low angle writing, and then you're writing on, you know, some more absorbent paper or something like that, and you want to shift up to a higher angle and still have it write smoothly and write well, you can do that with the Waverly. So very niche, very kind of specific, not like, whoa, that's crazy, but that kind of explains what it is. So it's a unique pen. I think it's kind of interesting. So it's not a lot of pens that have that nib, but still I wanted to show it to you so you had a little bit more of an idea of how it works.